So, applications of systems of linear equations, basically word problems. So, the difference between two numbers is 9. The larger number is 3 more than twice the smaller number. Lost. Yep, that's fair. Okay. The way to do these word problems, these are the ones you're going to start to read. If you go on to, like, overrate the LSAT, these are types of questions you would actually see. They're kind of logic problems more than anything. So, the difference between two numbers. Difference. What does difference mean? Subtraction. So the difference between two numbers is 9. Do we know what those two numbers are? No. So let's call them x and y. And you said it was difference, right? So subtraction. The difference between two numbers is 9. That's the first one. And the problem is you only have one. And so, like you said, you could have 10, you could have 1. You could have 11, you could have 2. You have an infinite number of solutions. But there's got to be one answer. So that's where you have to make a second equation to figure out the one answer. The larger number is 3 more than twice the smaller number. That one's a lot tougher, isn't it? Which number is the larger number? In our example, x. So x is the larger number. Because x minus y, you can pick either one, realistically. You could say y, you just have to readjust that, right? But we chose x to go x minus y, so x must be the larger one. It's 3 more. How would you do 3 more in math? Josh?
Times.
Nope, that's 3 times. What's 3 more, Matthew? Yeah, 3 more is addition. Twice the smaller number. What's twice the smaller number mean? Josh? Or times. Right, so x is 3 more, 3 plus, twice the smaller number. It doesn't equal 9. Just wait. Yeah. You're going too quick. Walk before we run. Does everybody get where I got that second equation from? That's the way to do these problems. You got to break it down line by line, go slow. If you try to look at all that and make 2 equations, you're screwed. It's way too hard. Take your time, move slow. Okay, now we have 2 equations. We know 3 different methods of solving these equations. What's the first method we learned? Matthew.
Can you do it like where you have like the opposite of like the equation that you have at the bottom and just start with that the opposite?
I see what you're saying, yeah, but that's not the first way we learned. What's the first way we learned? What was it? Get y separate, and then what did we do with that? We graphed it. You could graph these 2 lines. Get y separate and graph it. The second way we learned it is what you were describing, where you get one thing separate and then you substitute it in. So that's solving by substitution. What's the third way we learned yesterday? Elimination. That's where you subtract the 2. Yeah, in a different way. I'm going to do substitution. Because x is already been isolated. It's already by itself. So that makes substitution really, really easy. Remember, substitution means that we take all of this and we plug it into the other equations. So since we already know that x is equal to all that stuff, I can put it in the other equation. So now I have 3 plus 2y minus y is equal to 9. Replace terms. What's 2y minus y? What's y. 3 plus y is equal to 9. What's the last step? Josh.
Isolate y.
Isolate y. How do we get y by itself? Pardon? Yep. Subtract 3 from both sides. Minus 3, minus 3. Y is equal to 6. That's half your answer. Yeah. The other answer is what is x? What you need to do is pick any of these equations that we've used, plug the y value in, and you'll get x. This, probably the easiest one to plug it into. So is that one below. Pretty easy. So you could go, I'm going to plug into this one. I'm going to plug y equals 6 in this. So I get x is equal to 3 plus 2 times 6. X is equal to 15. Good job, Joe. Matthew.
Like, when you're figuring out the difference between, like, it tells you it's 9 and it says, like, the larger number is, like, the equation number, so it's pretty much telling you the other way to get the distance between.
Right. It's giving you two equations. Could you solve x minus y equals 9 by itself? Could you get one answer? No. You would get a million answers. If you thought it through. Yeah, you'd be using that equation in context, right? But we want to be able to solve them and show that we know how to solve them. That's why you need that second equation. Okay, so yeah, you're right. Okay. Does everybody have that written down? Next one. Again, same thing. We're going to walk before we run. We're going to go slow. The perimeter of a rectangle is 40 meters. Perimeter, 40 meters. How do you calculate perimeter?
You do one side squared plus, no, not one side. One squared times one side times 2 plus the other side times 2.
Exactly. In a rectangle, what do we call those sides? Length and width. And it's perimeter. So he's right. 2 times the length plus 2 times the width is equal to perimeter. And what is the perimeter in this question? 40. So 2 times the length plus 2 times the width gives you perimeter. The question told us that's equal to 40. Any questions on where I got that equation from? All right. The width is 4 meters less than the length. 4 meters less. What does that mean we're going to have to do? Subtraction. How do you write that out? Well, width is equal to 4 meters less than the length. Length minus 4. 4 meters less than the length. This one, it matters which one you have on which side. Because I told you the width is a little bit smaller than the length. So if you got these backwards, and you did length is equal to w minus 4, you get it wrong. All right, we got 2 equations again. So if you did w is equal to minus 4 plus L, no, that's fine. Same thing, different order. Okay, we're going to solve it the same way. We're going to use substitution. We already have w isolated. So we're going to take all of this, plug it in there. We have 2L plus 2 times L minus 4 is equal to 40. What's the saying we use to know what we do? Bed maths, right? Yeah, you can collect any like terms. There are no like terms to collect right now. But you want to take that 2 and apply it in. So you got 2L plus 2L minus 8 is equal to 40. Now you collect your like terms. 4L minus 8 is equal to 40. Now you try to isolate. So you need to move that 8 over. So it becomes 4L is equal to 48. And this seems to be the trickiest one. A lot of people get to this point and it gets stuck. So that equation right now is saying 4 times L is equal to 48. So how do you undo 4 times L to get L by itself? Can't square root it. What do you do, Jared? Divide it by 4. So this says multiplication, which means we have to do division to get it by itself. Divide both sides by 4. And you will get that L is equal to 12. You can now plug that 12 in all the way up here to get what the width is. So width is equal to L minus 4. Width is equal to 12 minus 4. Width is equal to 8. The dimensions of the triangle are 12 by 8. Length is 12, width is 8. Nothing crazy, right? It's everything we've already done, now just put in cool context. Any questions on that one? Okay. Gary. Gary had a total of $260 in $5 and $10 bills. Yeah, that's a lot of moolah. If he has 33 bills in total, how many of each denomination does he have? This one's tricky to find your two equations. Because there's no symbol that's obvious, right? Before we had length and width. That was easy, L and W. Before that, we just chose X and Y because it didn't really say, it just said a number. But now we're talking about bills. So what you need to do is create your own variables and say that X is equal to $5 bills and Y is equal to $10 bills. And it's not saying that X is a $5 bill, it's saying it's the number of $5 bills you have. Okay, now that we've done that, we have to try to make an equation that makes sense. Gary had $260 total in $5 and $10 bills. What does that "and" mean? Yeah, it means both. It means you added the two totals together, right? So, what should I put to represent $5 bills? What should I put here to represent $10 bills? X and Y. Close. That's saying the number of $5 bills I have plus the number of $10 bills I have is equal to $260. But that doesn't make sense. So what am I missing, Aaron? That would be our second equation. That would be our second equation because it says he has 33 bills in total. So that's we got our second equation by accident. Now let's try our first equation. What are we going to do, Maya? Absolutely. So if you're trying to figure out how much money you have, and I told you you had 10 $5 bills, you could figure out how much money you have by multiplying it by 5. $5 times the number of $5 bills we have. $10 times the number of $10 bills we have. That's how you would calculate how much money you have, right? Makes sense. So what does all that equal to then? 260. Now what we have is a more complicated question. So I'm going to solve this equation using elimination. So the last two times I used substitution, where I try something different and try elimination. What do I have to have in order to do elimination? Maya. A common y or a common x value. So I need either 5x in both, or 1x in both, or 10y in both, or just 1y in both. The y's and the x's, one of them has to be equal. You need the same amount of one as you do in the other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get, let's say, the same number of y's. I'm going to multiply all of this one by 10 so that I have the same number of y's as I do in the other one. So this equation times 10 would be 10x plus 10y is equal to 330. I multiplied everything in that first equation by 10 so that I would get 10y. That was our goal. Why was that our goal again? Because you need the same number as you did in this equation. Beautiful. Elimination. Now what do we have to do in elimination, Aaron? We have to subtract. Yeah, so put the other equation below it and then subtract the two equations. 10x minus 5x is x. 10y minus 10y is nothing. 330 minus 260 is now we have 5x is equal to 70. What do we divide both sides by 5? Those will cancel, and you'll have that x is equal to 14. What does that mean in context? So if x is equal to 14, what am I saying? What does that actually mean, Matthew?
Yeah, 14.
You have 14 $5 bills. Perfect. Sub 14 into one of these equations. I'm going to sub it into this one. And you'll get 14 plus y is equal to 33. And you should get that y is equal to what? Yeah, 19. 33 minus 14. So the question says, how many of each denomination does he have? What is the answer to our question? What's the answer to the question, Josh?
He has 14 $5 bills and no, 14 $5 bills and 15 or 19 $10 bills.
Exactly. It's the number of each denomination he has. Make sure you always answer the question. Don't do all the work and then forget to answer the question. All right. Last one. Laura. What's Laura up to? Laura invested her inheritance. Who knows what an inheritance is? Dawson, what's an inheritance? No, he's right. Go ahead. Yep. It's what you get left when you pass away. So if I were to pass away right now, the things I would give away are pretty much nothing. I'd be like, well, I'll leave this jersey to my brother since I stole it from him anyway. And his inheritance would be that stolen hockey jersey. Laura lucked out. She had a way better friend than me, and her inheritance was 48 grand. What? I want to be friends with her friends.
Sounds like your mom's boxes.
Yeah, so the problem with inheritance is that a lot of it goes to paying for like funerals and moving costs. Like when my grandma died, the inheritance went to my parents, but then my parents just spent all that money on her funeral and moving all her stuff out of her place and selling it all and getting rid of it all. Like there's a lot of expenses when you die. It's weird, but it's true. It costs a lot to die, and you can't do anything cheap in this world.
Fire.
Okay. So, fire. Let's go. So Laura, she invested her inheritance in 2 different mutual funds. What's a mutual fund? That's something you're gonna want to know when you graduate. Close, because that's where the word mutual comes from, so I like that. A mutual fund. It's like, you know what an investment is? Yeah, penny stocks. Do you got penny stocks? I do. They're tanking. I'm losing money every day, it feels like. So, Wolf of Wall Street, yeah. So a mutual fund is a place that you can put your money where it will grow at a steady interest rate. A lot of you probably have mutual funds in your names thanks to your parents. There you go. Left mutual funds for you. Yeah. So mutual funds, what they do is it's a safe place. It's a safe place to put your money so that it grows over time. It grows at an interest rate. So at the end of 1 year, one of her funds gained 10.5% interest. The other fund earned 12% interest. So that's a phenomenal return on your money. If you could just put your money into a bank and they give you 10% extra, that'd be pretty wicked. If she received a total of $5,520 in interest, how much did she invest in each mutual fund? So this is a complex question. Very complex. Let's break it down slowly. Laura invested her inheritance into 2 mutual funds. How do you want to represent those mutual funds? We don't know what they are. X and Y. So X could be fund number 1, and Y could be fund number 2. Perfect. We know that she earned at the end of 1 year 10.5% on one of the funds. And she earned 12% on the other fund. How would you represent that? I'll give it a shot. Yeah. But the problem is with interest rates. There's a trick to this. Interest rates you represent as decimals. So, if you earn 10% or 10.5%, you would represent as 1.105. The 1 right here is like you got 100% of your money back. And then this 10.5 represents that you got an extra 10.5% of that money back.
If you're to multiply by how much you put in, you get multiplied by you because it was a tab.
Right. But we don't want to know how much you have in total, right? We want to know just how much interest you actually earn. So you wouldn't put that one. Because we don't care about how much money is actually there. We just want to know how much you made. So it's 0.105. So So you represent percentages as decimals. How would we change 12% into a decimal for this question then? 0.12. Perfect. Okay, now we've got enough information that we can go ahead and make some equations. Let's start with the first one. She had 48 grand. She put it in 2 mutual funds. How would you represent that? You got it. X, the amount she put in fund 1, plus Y, the amount she put in fund 2, has to equal 48,000. That's the column. Not a period, sorry. That's our first equation. How are we going to get the second equation? Aaron.
0.15x plus 0.12y equals 5,500.
You got it. Perfect. Now what you can do is choose which method you want to solve this problem. Any suggestions? What are your 3 ways of doing it again? Elimination, substitution, and graphing. You could graph it. But graphing is going to be a pain because you have to get y by itself twice, put in your calculator, remember the buttons on your calculator. Pretty hard. Which one do you want to do, Aaron? Elimination? Okay, so he wants to do elimination. How are we going to do elimination with this mess of a question, Maya? Yep. Aaron? Yep. So which one do you want to get the same? You want to get the x's the same? So what do we have to multiply this top one by? 0.105. So multiply everything in this equation by 0.105. And you will get 0.105x plus 0.105y. And it's equal to what's 48,000 times, what is it? 5,040? Can we confirm that? Yeah? We're happy? Beautiful. So we've done what Aaron said. We've gotten 2 variables that are the exact same. So what do we have to do tying in the 2 variables that are the exact same? Just subtract them. So take that top one and subtract the bottom one. 0.105x minus 0.105x is 0. 0.12x plus 0.105, sorry, y is equal to what? 0.095y? Yeah? What is it here? 0.015 y equal to 5,000. So what I did was I took that number, 0.12, and I subtracted that number, 0.105, and I used a calculator to figure it out. Alright, how do you isolate y? Divide by what? Divide both sides by 0.015. Cancelled out. And what's our answer for y, Aaron? Oh, what's our answer, Sarah? Oh, I didn't hear it. What is it, Sarah?
480.
480. And I'm really glad you said that, because as I was sitting here, I was like, this number is going to be huge. And I was so worried. I was like, I did this all wrong somehow. So what's the answer, Jared? Just wait 2 seconds when he comes back. What's the answer, Ellie? 33? She put 32 of the grand into fund Y. How much did she put into fund X? X plus 32,000 is equal to 48,000. Which means X is equal to 16,000. I can hear you all whispering it. That is a high-end, difficult question. If you can do those questions, you can do anything in this unit. Any questions? After Joe. Matthew. After Joe.